You are about to listen to another one of our Funded Trader podcasts. I'm incredibly proud of this individual and where they've got to. They are now a portfolio asset manager on our in-house fund and on their way to 7 figures.
I'm not shocked because I've been visualizing it.
That was what was missing in this industry.
I had to invest on myself. It wasn't easy.
What you're going to learn from this podcast is exactly the type of mentality that you need to succeed.
Like my dad even didn't finish high school.
And I think this is the biggest block that is going to get them to the higher amount of figures.
I had to wake up for 3 a.m. just to be on the webinar. I will do that.
I can almost guarantee, no matter how you're trading, no matter what system you've got, if you can develop the work ethic and the mentality of this person, you will increase your chances of getting funded, staying funded, and really making this a reality. Sit back, relax. Let's get into the story.
It's been one of the best journeys of my life.
To gain experience in the market. Grateful to be in this position.
9 trades back to back gone, and then that shattered my confidence completely.
You really want to believe something.
There's been some highs, there's been some lows.
I wasn't good at maths, I failed it at college.
I wanted to be a full-time trader by the end of the year.
This is actually possible. Trading.
All of that euphoric feeling.
You can't stop my trading.
It's just made me a much better trader overall.
Welcome back to another Inside the Mind podcast. Most traders are struggling with a very, very important thing that I think most of the industry do not cover. They're either not even aware of it, and I definitely know they're not actively working on it because they don't have a process. And I think this is the biggest block that is going to get them to the higher amount of figures. And we know that as things like self-image. For you, RC, how was that for you? What was the biggest thing from a psychological impact that helped you break through?
Yeah, for me, basically, even starting Falcon, right? To join Falcon, I had to pay subscription, right? To give you a background, when I was studying in the university during my past few years ago, even a semester, like one whole semester, it's a state university. I had to pay the same amount of a monthly subscription in Falcon in our country. Like that amount is already huge. So that level of mindset that I have to tweak, that I have to stretch out, that paradigm has to be shifted for me to be able to open myself. Like I had to invest on myself. It wasn't easy, but I had to go through also leave Falcon for a while to think of, do I really want this thing? Like, do I really want to invest on myself? Because I could go down the rabbit hole of self-sabotage during right there and then, but then, you know what? I kind of buy a course out of nowhere, just, for the sake of maybe this could work. But then after a while, I rejoined back Falcon October 2021. And then right there and then, no, this is the way to go. Like for me, it's this one of the step that, hey, I'm going to invest on myself, leaving the ego at the door. And right there and then I invested on reward and whatnot. But as you can see, it wasn't easy for me to break that kind of boundary. Because growing up, we're really not came from a wealthy family. I would say we're on the middle class, but on this country that we're in, like in Asia and the Philippines, you could see it wasn't like the opportunities really wasn't very, very great. But one thing that I learned and I've observed throughout my younger years within my family, especially my parents, my mom and my dad, is that even no one from them reached college. Like my dad even didn't finish high school. So they had to be resourceful to do the stuff. And they are selling goods and whatnot, traveling 1 to 2 hours per day just for us to get that money. And then seeing that, right? Like even if it's raining too hard, there's typhoon, there's flood, it doesn't matter. They will sell products so that we can have that amount of money. But at the same time, for me, now I have the opportunity to invest on myself. Yes, it wasn't easy. It was huge amount of money. Even right now, I'm making decent amount of money in this country, but it's about opening myself up to that. And that persistent that I've seen from my parents, like literally, even I had to wake up for 3 a.m. just to be on the webinar 4 a.m. just to be on a webinar, I will do that because I know this is something that I'm doing not only for myself, but also for my family, and kind of doing the same thing, the same sacrifice that my parents are doing. But yeah, going back to the self-image, Mark, it wasn't really easy. Like the scarcity mindset, if you could just imagine, like the level of amount of money, even just a free time, not like thinking of I can make even 10 grand just for a month in this trading, and then not doing like just clicking a button. It wasn't easy to register. Like, of course, we want the money, but like really sitting down, being able to do that with that amount of capital, even it's 10 grand is small in this industry, right? But having to sit down with myself to really dig deeper, like expanding that paradigm, I would say that take a lot of time for me. That takes a lot of day in, day out, and I could just self-sabotage along the process. But right now it's just about, keep on doing those stuff, because I would not say that I've already overcome that boundary of scarcity with all the things that I'm still living on the place that we're in. Like the neighborhood wasn't great, but it's now about, programming that mind to be able to be in that space that I think you're mentioning, that to be able to be locked in, focus on what you have to do. And it takes a lot of time and effort, but we're on the right path right now.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Thank you for the backstory as well. That's so great to see that all of these other transferable skills from you observing your parents that's taught you persistence unconsciously. So that's very difficult for you to give up when you see such resilience that has now rubbed off on you, which is amazing to see. It's a reflection of the 2 a.m., the 3 a.m. webinars. I know that's not easy, and we're incredibly proud of you. So again, congratulations. You're now a portfolio asset manager. So congratulations on that. Myself and the coaches, the whole team, the community, we're incredibly proud of you. How does it feel to achieve that and tick off that milestone?
To be completely honest, like achieving it, it's no brainer. Like I'm not shocked because I've been visualizing it. I know that it's deliberate, like throughout the process. It's 10 months. Like it's 10 months that I've been deliberately doing, like within the fund, but of course the journey is beyond that. But I would say the most special thing that far exceeded the emotion and the feeling was seeing the community, like you guys, like the coaches, and even the Falcon team congratulating you, like celebrating you. And you can feel the energy that it's genuine. And it's almost like it overwhelms me. Like I didn't expect that much. I know that you guys will be proud, you guys will be happy for me, but like be living in that moment during that time, it's great. I would say that's the highlight for me, rather than, because you know what, like I visualize well enough passing that amount, the target, but like the amount of support that you get is just unreal.
Yeah, amazing. Love that. I'm glad that you've picked out that point as well, because I completely agree with you. It's not normal to have this amount of people celebrate your success, and then you on the other side genuinely feel like, well, no one has anything to gain from my success, yet they're actually happy for me. That was the environment that I wanted to create from day one, because I knew that was what was missing in this industry, and it's who I am anyway. It's not like I saw it as like a tactic. It's like, this is what we do, this is what we believe, and I personally believe this is missing in the world. And the more and more, because it puts you in that abundant mindset. Someone
100%.
celebrating your wins, they're just thinking about, well, you found the pathway, you've deliberately got to where you're at, I can do the same thing. It's only empowering. So it's just so great to see you tick off that milestone and many more. How are you doing on the fund right now? How are you feeling with, getting to the portfolio asset manager? Has there been any wobbles, or have you stayed nice and focused?
Yeah, of course. Like I would say there are a couple of emotions right there. Like there are management, like I saw that, like Evie, like I had a quick chat with Evie about that, like the AU trade. I think it was last week that I kind of mismanaged, but it comes with the emotion. But I pinpoint here the important thing that I did. I follow what he advised, that like lower the lots, like lower the percentage of your entry, like the risk that you were entering. So for me, the plan is for 2 weeks, like 0.25% risk. And then after that, we can increase that just to kind of have the feel of that emotion. Of course, at the back of being celebrated and whatnot, of course, there will be some sort of euphoric or whatnot within that, right? That you are, I would say the emotional composure doesn't only have to be there when you're on a negative or on a negative state or on a bad state, right? Even when you're winning, especially when you're winning, as you mentioned in Rewire, Beyond Rewire, especially when you're winning, it's very critical for us to remain composed. And I would say that's something that I took on board, and I really, and now I would say it feels like it's been almost few months already that it happened. So I'm glad that I did that.
I'm so pleased to hear that. And again, as you just said, I'm glad you picked that part out of like losing your edge, right? When you're weathering the storm, you can lose your edge both ways. It's not always about when you're losing, it's actually both ways. Speaking of that, your equity curve, right? What I was really impressed about your equity curve is that it was literally that in a nutshell. So you've of course gone through, have you had a chance to go through the whole Beyond Rewired yet, or are you still making your way through it?
Yeah, I've already done that. Like the last extra module, like the Empire Builder, it takes time. So yeah.
Of course. No, I'm glad to hear that. So when you was going through, of course, for those of you that don't know, we have specific modules for funding, as of course the psychology there is very, very important. But with that part, that weather in the storm, I'm sure you must have had your own realizations of like, that's me. You know, your equity curve is literally a prime example of that, of just staying in the game. I think a lot of traders underestimate that. It's not always about these big wins of these erratic equity curves. It's about, can you stay in the game? You know, a little bit of profit, back to break even, a little bit of drawdown, back to break even, a little bit of profit. And you just got to stay in that zone, and eventually you will get your sequential breakthrough. It's exactly what happened. So really proud of you to stay in the game.
One thing that I keep on my mind during those process is that you mentioned this couple of times already, that give your, like a trade, give a trade time to play out. And then at the same time, for us trader, give yourself enough time to win. So for me, it's just, I just keep on repeating that to myself, that, you know what, it doesn't matter how much long it will take me, as long as, you know what, let's keep on progressing day by day. Allow yourself, give yourself time, enough time for you to win, and you gather all the information, like the psychology, mindset, repetition, the technical things along the way. You'll get it. You know, it's just giving yourself enough time to win. I would say that's one thing that stick to me.
I'm glad. And can you see now how no one can take the skill set away from you? Like the way that you are now interpreting the charts is so specific and deliberate. You can't undo that. That's the beauty 100%. Of it. All of the average trades that you may have taken a year ago that maybe you're not happy with, that you would never take again. It almost gets to a point, I think a lot of traders underestimate this, it gets to a point where it's almost more difficult for you to make those type of mistakes, because now you're so familiar with what you're looking for. You've got the repetition of, right, this is when I wait. This is when I let the candle close. This is when I don't. This is when I use the appropriate timeframes to execute on the lower timeframes. So that must be a great feeling. I remember for me personally, that was the best feeling once I got to a certain level where I was like, no one can take this away from me. Like I'm at a good level. I know I can produce results now.
One of the things also, you speaking to that, is the fact that even if I make a human error, like a mistake, like for example, I know that I should have not taken that, but maybe because of my flow state is a little bit lower, I have taken a trade that kind of a premature. I didn't get too disappointed on myself, because I just know that it could just be a part of me having the repetition, and then along the way, it will be kind of, I can drop all of those things, but right now I could accept that I could still make mistake. And as you mentioned, you do not need to be the finished article to be profitable and consistent in the market. And I think when I learned to be that forgiving also on myself, that when I make a mistake, like technical mistake, maybe emotional mistake, maybe I kind of have the accountability, but at the same time, I also like had that kindness to myself, that hey, it's all part of the process, you know. And I would say when I finally embrace those things, that's when I see the difference, really. Because it's so easy, like when you're so passionate, it's so easy to get disappointed and frustrated on yourself. That why did I make the same mistake? Or maybe why did not see this small or subtle detail? But it's just all part of the process. Maybe it's just not too well ingrained on your subconscious just yet.
Exactly. The kindness to yourself. Absolutely spot on, RC. I love that. And more traders would succeed if they had that themselves. I think that's the fine line. Do you know how many traders that would be in a position where they maybe make a little error? And I'm talking it's negligible.
Yeah.
They then use that as an opportunity to go down a really negative road, when the reality is you just have to have the self-awareness. Why was the mistake? Okay, so maybe you acted out of a bit of emotion. Did it completely derail your success? Did you completely deviate from your plan? Probably not. Maybe you just didn't manage it correctly. And what happens is it's in that window. It's worse to dive into it versus just acknowledging that, right, I'm a human. This wasn't too much of an error. I understand what happened. Let's move on again, back to the game plan. And sometimes that is more important than going into this deep ASR over something that's not even important. See what I mean?
100%, 100%. And I think I would say a part of what you preach towards the end of Q2 or the first half of the year is about, I could have been in this position, right? There are traders that would have that mindset that I could have done this, I could have been in this position, but you keep on preaching that it doesn't matter. What matters is what's your next big move? Like, what's your next big move moving forward? And for me, it kind of drilled down to, it's more affirming to what I'm already trying to ingrain in myself, the kindness, and then the almost incremental growth in that sense. So yeah.
Otherwise, we live in anxiety. Anxiety lives in the past and it lives in the future. So every single time of I could have been here, right? You're anxious. Every single time of I think I should be at this point, you're in an anxious state of mind. It's difficult for you to be in an anxious state of mind if you lean into gratitude. So you're grateful for the position that you're in, and then you can just go, right, what can I do today? Like literally, what can I do today to improve? It just removes all of the rubbish, the noise. It's not important because you're going to get there in your own time anyway.
100%. And I'm glad you mentioned that gratitude, because a couple of traders had asked me, how can I describe what I feel after passing the fund? When I sit there, one thing in my mind is gratitude. I'm just so grateful that I am in this position. Like I mentioned earlier, most of the people in our country doesn't even have the opportunity to be a Falcon member, let alone trade the amount of money that I'm already trading and to trade in the future. Because I could just, like, the people that I'm surrounded with, the accountability group that I'm surrounded, shout out to them, the accountability group that we have, the FX Live, even enrolling on the FX Live. On top of that, those opportunities that are in front of me that you built, like the foundation, the infrastructure, I would say it's all laid out for us. And I'm just grateful for it. And having that in mind, that I know that I have this in front of me, is just a matter of me doing the work. So yeah, just going to that gratitude, it's always that ever been.
Well, we're going to look after you. And I think that's the 100%. Important emotion I want everyone to feel in Falcon, that this is not you're subscribing to a membership to get my analysis. It's so much deeper than that. As you've seen from the project 7 years, that we're just scratching the surface for plans and ambitions that we have, and we're always looking to expand from within. So these things are important, but also the moves that we make, we care. Like, we want people to do well. Like, we're so proud of you. We know how difficult it is in the country that you're from, as you just said, to then be up at 2 a.m., 3 a.m. There's a lot of people that are in a much more privileged position that don't realize until they're in a worse position of, right, I had it right in front of me. You have to imagine over 7 years, imagine how many traders I've coached, even one-to-one as well, that were so capable, had every resource in front of them, but decided not to do well. I fully believe with the resources that we have, it's virtually impossible for you to not succeed if you allow yourself to win. You mentioned about that earlier, allowing yourself to win. A lot of these traders that are not there yet, they're not there yet. They've not allowed themselves to win, or what I spoke about in FX Live earlier, which is the arrogance. They don't listen well. I think you're someone who's paid attention to the details very, very well. I can see that when you get given instructions as to like, this is the right way to do it, you don't allow your mind to drift into what your opinion is. You just understand that it comes from a position of care. So if myself, Ibi, Abdu, or anyone more experienced, and this is the way to do it, you just find it easy to just go, right, okay, that sounds good. And then you implement it and, of course, attribute to your success right now.
Yeah, it wasn't easy. Like, there are also moments that I could have done, this is something that I think I need to do, but then, okay, these are the coaches told us to do, and I will follow. Because if going back to what I shared earlier, that when I rejoined Falcon, like October 2022, I said to myself, I know this isn't cheap for me, but I will invest in myself. And a requirement for that is to drop the ego and go all in. And then I did not look back. It's just a matter for me to be committed. I would say that's also a commitment that I made to myself, as well as I could say that the commitment with you guys, like you having personal things happening, but still present on every webinars that you said you're going to make. So not only you, but also Abdu, Ibi, and they are very committed to the craft and to this purpose. So I see, when I see that in you guys, it's not difficult for me to follow because I see the examples in you guys. So, yeah.
Do you think that other traders that have maybe not got to that level of breaking through, that maybe have been in the community for a couple of years, do you think that might be a missing block, that maybe part of them is not fully committed? So they think they're committed because they watch webinars, they show up, maybe they even join FX Live, they get involved in Rewired, but it's not more of it seems like to me that you've had a more of a conscious decision of, I am committed, versus people thinking they're committed. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, 100%, because you are the only one who knows if you're committed or not. And no matter what the coaches will tell you, if you don't follow, you gotta ask yourself, am I really committed to this? Like, you can. And the funny thing is, most of our kind of reasons are valid. Like I have to keep on mentioning, most of the reasons that we have are valid. But you kind of ask yourself, like, the priorities of that, like the prioritization. What is your priority? Like, and commit to that. And also to the point of being intentional on what's the next step for you. It's like drowning out the noise. Okay, like for me, I'm very honest on this. I don't go to every webinars, but I go to the ones that kind of I know there's something out there that I might learn. And I will give my full attention. And then, of course, the midweek, those SMB, the trade recaps, I will do that rigorously. But the thing for me is, I don't get FOMO on the things of maybe additional knowledge, but I drill down to the specific thing for that I might need for at this stage and time, and listen well. Like 99% of the time, every FX Live, there's something in there. And even the midweek and then the SMB, there's something in there, as subtle as it is, that you will need to go on to the next stage. It's just a matter of opening your mind to that and listening well. As we were talking about at the FX Live earlier, it's kind of difficult to describe listen well. But it's more, I would say, openness to what you really think need, rather than what you think you need at the moment.
Exactly. And you reminded me of another layer of commitment. So if we look at interest versus commitment for most traders, that could get them to the next stage. You're interested, you do it when you want to do it. You're committed, you do it when you don't want to do it. You do it when it's inconvenient. That's a true sign of commitment. But there's another layer of commitment, because imagine this. And this is talking more for people in the Falcon community, and this could speak to most traders. But imagine you are someone who believes that you're committed. You would go, no, I'm consciously committed. I'm committed to turning up to content. I'm committed to doing my advanced self-review. I'm committed to, say, Rewired, for example. I'm actively working on my mind. No, I'm fully committed. And if you looked at their actions, you would see, yes, that's true. But there's an additional layer, which is, are you committed to learn the way that you need to learn? Mm-hmm. So you can go, right, I'm in an accountability group, I do all of this. However, you could do all of those things, but fundamentally, if you don't listen well and you've ignored loads of signs, you might be 90% committed and not realizing that 10% of not following the way to do it because arrogance has creeped in, that's actually going to be your biggest block. I can tell you now, I could name 20, 30, probably 50 students that would be trading six figures right now, but their arrogance has got in the way. Now, many of them have realized that, which I appreciate, because they've had the humility to say, do you know what? It's my fault. I've realized where I've messed up. I have been arrogant, and it's been subtle arrogance as well. And when they overcome that, I promise you, their technical ability, everything's going to fuse together, and they're going to see a lot of success. And I can't wait for it. But it just shows you how many people hold themselves back out of ego. That is the key. That's the secret sauce. If you can just come in with humility, you're going to do very, very well. How have you found connecting to people in the community? Bearing in mind, I can't imagine you've got a whole network of lots of people where you live that are all traders. So how have you found connecting with people all over the world? How's that been for you?
Oh, it's crazy. It's overwhelming at times too, because imagine you're connecting, for example, in Abdu, he is like 12 hours away from me. So like our time is a little bit reversed. But yeah, imagine like you can connect to a deeper level, not just hi, hello, not just those things. And I would say I really take advantage of it, to be honest. As you mentioned, there are not much of connection or network of traders in here, especially where I live. And the only thing for me is to connect to the Falcon community. And to that note, I really take advantage of the accountability group. I would say way back January 2022, I never missed an accountability group monthly. And mind you, it was Monday, my time. It was Sunday, 8 p.m. around that, London, every end of the month. It was a Monday, my time, 3 a.m. And I think it right there and then said how committed I am to be connected to those people, because I learned a lot from them. Like, regardless of the levels, the amount of humility, the amount of like knowledge and sheer genuineness within the group will just fire you up to carry you through the month that is coming. So yeah.
Yeah, and we all need that. Accountability is absolutely important when you've got the right genuine minds. This is why I'm so fired up for what the community is doing as a collective. This has been a huge breakthrough year. You've seen it from the start of the year, right? What was we talking about? This is the year. We're not messing around. We're now past the half-year point. Lots of things that we spoke about have already come into fruition. I believe this quarter, as I mentioned at the half-year point, is going to be exceptional. This month has been phenomenal. So we can see that shift in the markets as well. I'm so pleased that you've got to the next level as well. What are your plans for the future from now until the end of the year? I'm curious as to where you're at. What would success look like to you? It could be a specific number. I know you're probably not attached to the number, but what would be a level where you would say, right, end of the year, if I'm trading this would be a great milestone for me?
Yeah, for me, it's like the account would be the side effect, but the one thing that come in by like two things, because the Dubai, to be able to go there through the trading profits, that's the goal for me. So that's the number one goal. Of course, you have to kind of level up a bit on the stage that I'm at to be able to do that. And at the same time, it's my mom's 60th birthday. I wanted to give them, so I won't make her watch this until it happened, so that she would not know. But I want to bring them on a beach trip, like celebrate her birthday on December. So that's the two things that I would be, for me, successful 2023. So yeah.
Amazing. Love that. And I'm glad that you're thinking about your parents as well, almost before yourself, which shows your true character to lead and look after your family. And I'm sure every experience that you've gone through, even through the adversity and difficulty, that's what gives you that toughness. I actually don't always see it as a disadvantage. I see it as an advantage if you can channel it the right way. For I'm sure you know many people from where you live that probably just accept, this is my life, this is where I live.
100%.
And I get it. I understand. It's not easy. Right. But you've been able to break through that and go, I am worth so much more. I can give so much more, and I can give back so much more. And 100%. I can't wait to see you take off that goal. From now until then, I mean, we've got like 5 months. It's going to come around very, very quick. What I will say is that, and this is really important, a lot of people this year would have benchmarked themselves against, if I'm not in Dubai, I failed. That's just not the case. That would be under the assumption that what are we going to do? One funded meet? forever. Like, we're going to be doing
Yeah.
ongoing. Like, this is just the start of that international fly to anywhere in the world and connect, right? So of course it's an important one, and I wouldn't say don't strive for it. I just don't think people should be looking at, if I don't get there, I failed. Because what if you
100%.
struggle to break through to consistency and you just hit consistency in December? That's a massive win, because you go into 2024 ready to level up, because there's going to be more of them. I don't want people to sabotage themselves out of getting very close and not quite making it. And I would say for yourself, focus on your next step and just make sure if you get there, great, right? If you get to 250,000 and that's the side effect and then it works, brilliant. But never see your next step as a failure, even if you was 80K or 100K. At the end of the day, you've broken through to a level now where it's inevitable you're going to hit the levels that you want to do. And of course, I would absolutely love to see you in Dubai, and of course, many other people as well. But it's important to note this is not the first and only event. There's going to be so many, so many.
Yeah, definitely not the last. So we've got our chances.
100%. And of course, we've got the potential trading floor that is going to be happening in Dubai as well. That's pretty much ready to open. So there's just so many things. Do you know what I envision? And we're going to do this, is that at one point there'll be quite a lot of us that comes together, let's say in a floor, in person, in Dubai, in the trading floor. And I will get it snipped up, all of the old footage. We'll have to sieve our way through, but I'm going to create almost like a collage of these podcasts, conversations, early stages when people said, right, I'm going to aim for this. I'm going to bring it all together, and people are going to see in that real time, wow, that was me in a webinar maybe a year and a half ago talking about being here, and we're all here. That to me is going to be one of the best feelings in the world. I'm so pumped for it. And I've got a feeling that's going to be happening by next year.
It's going to happen, Mark. It's just only a matter of time. So yeah,
there you go.
Sure.
Well, I'll see. Any final last words from what you think that would be really beneficial, or anything that you think that someone that is on the same path in Falcon, or even not in Falcon, just trading as a whole, that you think will be valuable, that you've learned?
For me, a lot of the traders are already doing the right things most of the time. It's just a matter of going back to my point earlier, giving yourself enough time to win. And I would say, attributing to the fact that the reward module about the repetition, the reward formula 101 is just the right repetition and time. It's just really give yourself time and the right repetition. Because as you mentioned, like, even if you don't achieve the Dubai goal for the end of the year, and then you are already consistent, it's a win, because you allow yourself to win. You give your time enough to win. And for me, that's the main thing that I just carry with me, like the right repetition and time, and it will work out for you 100%, no doubt about it.
Love that. Love the mentality. There you go. Give yourself enough time to win. RC, thank you so much for taking the time, jumping on the podcast, sharing your experience. I can't say it enough. We're so incredibly proud of you. So you've smashed it. We recognize the work ethic. We see it from day one. And I knew you was going to tick it off. So honestly, I'm so happy for you. I can't even put it into words. And I'm so glad that you visualized that before. So keep that level headed. We just keep it moving forward. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you,
You're
Mark.
very welcome.